Sometimes it feels like the weight of the entire world has fallen on your shoulders, and there's no strength left to get out of bed, to smile, or even just to exist. Depression creeps in silently, stealing the color from your days and making you feel like no one understands, like no one sees what's happening inside you. But I want to tell you, with all sincerity, that you are not alone. Even when everything seems to fall apart, even when the silence feels heavier than any word, there is still someone who cares, someone who is here now, walking by your side. Maybe you felt invisible, like your pain was too small to be heard, like the burden you carry inside your chest wasn't important enough. Depression makes us believe that, convinces us that we are weak, that our sadness is too much for others to bear. But the truth is, your pain matters. You matter. Every thought you battle, every tear you hold back, every breath you take even when you don't want to. These are acts of silent courage that the world may never see, but that are honored here. This video is not an empty promise of instant healing, nor a magic recipe to erase the sadness. It's simply a voice that joins yours, saying that facing depression is a real and honorable battle. Here you don't need to pretend to be okay. Here you can be exactly as you are right now, with all your pain and all your strength. Because continuing to exist in the midst of depression is one of the greatest forms of bravery there is. Throughout this video, we will walk together through this dark road, searching for small lights along the way. Maybe it's hard to see them now. Maybe they seem distant, but I promise they are there. And the fact that you are here, looking for something, even if you don't know exactly what, is already a sign that hope has not been extinguished. Let's move forward together, one step at a time. Facing depression isn't about waking up one day and magically deciding that everything will be fine. It's not about forcing a smile or pretending the pain doesn't exist. Facing depression is, in truth, about recognizing the depth of what you feel and still trying, even if it only means getting out of bed or drinking a glass of water. It's about accepting that there will be days when simply breathing is already a victory, and there is no shame whatsoever in needing help to make it through the darkness. Often we imagine that fighting depression means defeating it quickly, as if it were a battle won in a single moment. But the truth is, facing depression is more like a silent daily resistance. It's about standing up after every fall, even when your mind screams at you to give up. It's about continuing to walk, even when the steps are slow and uncertain. Every small gesture, every decision to continue, is a profound act of strength that few people can see, but one that carries immense value. Here, we are not going to measure your strength by the absence of pain or the speed of your recovery. We are going to recognize your courage in simply existing despite everything. Because facing depression is not about denying sadness. It's about embracing it with humanity and moving forward, even when the horizon seems cloudy and distant. It's a silent act of hope, and that alone is an enormous victory. There are moments when darkness seems absolute, when everything that once brought joy loses its color and meaning. Depression doesn't just bring sadness. It drains you. It exhausts your very spirit, weakening the will to continue. When everything feels lost, even the smallest actions, like opening your eyes in the morning, can feel like monumental battles. And in those moments, it's easy to believe there's no way out, no more reason to keep going, that the pain will be eternal and inescapable. These days aren't just sad, they are paralyzing. You may feel trapped inside yourself, watching life happen from the outside, unable to participate. Every minute feels unbearably heavy, and every attempt to smile demands a superhuman effort. When everything feels lost, the mind builds dark labyrinths where every thought is a wall with no doors. And it's in these moments that despair tries to take root, convincing you that nothing exists beyond the suffering. But I want you to know that even though it seems impossible right now, this feeling does not define your entire story. The pain you feel today is not the final chapter of your life. Even when you can't see the light, it still exists somewhere beyond the bend. Your suffering is immense, it is real, and it deserves respect. But it is not all there is within you. There are still paths you haven't walked, stories you haven't lived, moments waiting for you that you haven't yet imagined. Even if right now it feels like everything is over, Remember, the very existence of despair is proof that deep down, some part of you is still hoping for a new dawn. In the middle of darkness, there is a small sign that something inside you still resists. Maybe you don't feel any strength right now. Maybe hope seems like a distant memory. But the very fact that you are here, listening to these words, is already a silent act of courage. The decision to search for something, anything, even without knowing exactly what you're looking for, proves that a tiny spark still burns within you, even if it feels faint, even if it's barely visible. That little spark may seem fragile, almost invisible amidst the chaos that depression brings, but it exists. And sometimes what we need most during the hardest moments is not a miracle, but simply a thread of light that reminds us it's possible to keep going, even without having all the answers. Being here right now is a quiet resistance, a silent scream of someone who, even without strength, still chooses not to give up. No matter how many times darkness has tried to convince you otherwise, no matter how many times you've felt on the verge of surrendering, you are here. You chose to be here. And that, even if it feels small, is a daily miracle worthy of being honored. You are stronger than you think. When everything feels lost, thinking about big changes can be overwhelming. Sometimes, the first step isn't about transforming your entire life. It's simply about doing the minimum to survive today. And that's okay. Depression tries to convince us that if we can't do everything, then there's no point in doing anything. But the truth is that every small gesture, every conscious breath, every tiny attempt to move forward is a victory that deserves to be celebrated. Start by acknowledging what you feel without guilt, without shame. Allow yourself to feel sadness, anger, exhaustion. You don't have to force yourself to be strong all the time. Feeling is human, and admitting your pain is the first step to not getting lost inside it. Then, seek support, even if it feels difficult, even if your mind tries to convince you that no one cares. Sometimes, a simple conversation with someone you trust can be the thread that keeps despair from swallowing you whole. And if you don't have anyone right now, remember, there are professionals who have dedicated their lives to helping people like you, who understand that invisible pain is just as real as any other. Set very small goals, goals you can manage. Maybe today's goal is just getting out of bed, taking a shower, or opening a window. Don't underestimate these small victories. In a world where even breathing can hurt, every small movement is heroic. Don't feel ashamed to start small. Every long journey always begins with steps that seem almost invisible at first. If you can, find a small anchor for your day, something that brings even a tiny bit of comfort, like listening to a soft song, smelling fresh coffee, petting an animal, or simply sitting quietly by the window. Amid the storm, these anchors are small pieces of solid ground where you can rest, gather strength, and remind yourself that beauty still exists in the world, even if it's hidden right now. Facing depression doesn't demand grand heroics. It demands persistence in small movements, stubbornness in breathing, and the quiet will to try again for just one more day. And that you are already doing. There are days when even breathing feels like it takes an unbearable amount of effort. Days when the mind builds traps and the body feels as heavy as if it's chained to the ground. For moments like these, there are no magical solutions, but there are small techniques that can help you survive the despair without letting it completely consume you. Simple practices, respecting your pain, designed only to keep you holding on a little longer, and sometimes that's more than enough. One of the first tools is grounding yourself in the present moment. When your mind spins into guilt, fear, or hopelessness, try to focus on something immediate and physical. Feel the texture of an object in your hands. Listen carefully to the sounds around you. Focus on your breathing, noticing the air slowly entering and leaving your lungs. These small acts help interrupt the spiral of overwhelming thoughts and gently bring you back to a place where you still have some control, even if it feels fragile. Another technique is changing small things in your environment. When the inner weight becomes unbearable, simply moving to another room, opening a window to let fresh air in, or shifting your position can offer a slight sense of relief. Don't underestimate these tiny shifts. In the middle of a storm, even A brief moment of calm is a precious victory. On the hardest days, practice the mindset of just today. Don't think about tomorrow, next week, or the heavy future that feels too big to handle. Tell yourself, just today, I will try to endure. Just today, I won't give up. Carrying the weight of a single day is much lighter than carrying the weight of forever. And surviving today is already an extraordinary triumph. Above all, be kind to yourself. Depression is cruel enough without you becoming your own enemy. Treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer to someone you deeply love. You deserve it, especially on the hardest days. When you are deep in depression, it's easy to believe that this pain is the final page of your story, as if nothing else could exist beyond what you are feeling right now. But the truth is, your story is still being written, and this moment, no matter how devastating it feels, is not the end. Life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it, and even the hardest chapters carry the seeds of new beginnings. You are so much more than the pain you feel today. Inside you, there are still dreams that can grow, moments that can still make your heart beat faster, and people you haven't met yet who may change your journey in ways you can't even imagine. Right now, the pain you carry is real and deserves respect, but it is not all there is to you. It's one part of your life, not your entire destiny. Your story doesn't end here. There are still blank pages ahead, waiting to be filled with better days, with new discoveries, with joys you haven't experienced yet. Even if today it's hard to believe, keep moving forward. Your life deserves to be lived, fully and completely. If you made it this far, I want you to know that this is already a victory. Maybe you don't see it right now. Maybe everything still feels unbearably heavy, but listening to these words and letting them reach your heart is already an act of courage. You have held on a little longer. You have taken another step forward, even in the middle of the storm. Never forget that your life matters, even on the days when the world feels silent. Never believe the lies that depression tries to whisper in your ear. You are needed. You are unique. There is a place for you in this world, even if today it's hard to see it. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel to keep receiving support. Leave a comment. Share your feelings, even if just a few words. You are not alone. As long as there is hope, there are still paths ahead. One day at a time, one step at a time. You can do this.